Welcome to the Motormouth YouTube channel. I'm Zach.
I'm Andrea.
And boy, do we have big news. It was just announced last week that the federal EV rebate in Canada is gone.
Can you believe it? I mean, for how long have we had a federal rebate of $5,000 for a pure electric vehicle and PHEVs that have a range of 50 kilometers plus? So basically, the government doesn't have any more funding left, and so they've put a pause on this program. Initially, it was supposed to end March 31st, 2025. The government hasn't actually announced quite yet. It's coming over the next few days when the program will come to an end. But we're hearing like a couple of weeks.
All right, so what they have is a pot of money, and the pot of money is running out. So we're at the bottom of the pot is basically what the federal government is saying. And they're telegraphing that it's going to be any day or any week where it'll eventually run out. The problem we have in Canada is our federal parliament right now is closed down, as you probably know. Yeah. Not sure if they need to put it through in a budget officially to get more money put back in the pot. And I think this is all happening quickly because of what the Quebec government did. They reduced the rebate. They said come Jan 1 this year, 2025, we're reducing the amount of money that you get. And their rebates are very generous. We're really generous. So what that did is it brought forward a whole bunch of sales. So people were piling on the existing Quebec rebate and the federal rebate, and both pots of money have run out.
Boy, Quebec had a big year for EV sales, and yeah, the funding is gone. And what we're reading online from the Quebec government is that the beginning of February of 2025, that is gone. There is not going to be the staggered rebates that they initially had come out with. They're saying that the program is ending at that time. We even see in British Columbia that Provincial EV rebate changed last year as well. It is up to $4,000. Now, they did change it prior to that where it was based on income, but then they went and changed SUVs, which were eligible if they started under $60,000 Canadian, and they put that into the car category, which you have to start under $50,000 Canadian to qualify. There aren't many EVs that do. There are a few. I did Google some, and we're talking about MSRP, starting price, Toyota BZ4X, the Chevrolet Equinox, the Kia Niro, the Hyundai Kona, and then interestingly enough, Polestar 2 for a limited time is priced under $50,000. Okay. And the Volkswagen ID4 has some pretty aggressive deals under $50,000 too.
All right, so let's recap. Federal pot of money is shrinking quickly, and they haven't said exactly when, but they say they're going to run out of money. Not sure if it can be topped up because of our political situation right now. The Quebec government has already said it's ending the 1st of February. Whether they put more money in the pot to restart those, we're not sure. And then the amount that you can get from the British Columbia government is greatly restricted based on the kind of cars and how much money you make. Now, we don't know every individual province like New Brunswick and places like that. Ontario doesn't have a rebate at all. But this is going to dramatically affect the sales of EVs. And this runs head into the mandates these two provinces, Quebec and British Columbia, put in place. If you're not aware, car companies have to hit a certain percentage of EV sales, or they get penalized $20,000 per gas car that they sell. $20,000 per car. And these mandates, with the rebates gone, I don't think are going to be achievable.
So let's talk a little bit about the ZEV mandate in Canada. So federally, they have different mandates for different years. So for 2026, for example, 20% of all new vehicles produced have to be electric. So that means EVs, plug-in hybrids, and hydrogen fuel cell is also included in that.
There's like 6 of those sold.
Yeah. So the way it works is that if a manufacturer reaches that target, they receive credits. And those credits they can either bank, save for future targets, or they can sell these credits to manufacturers that are not reaching the target. So it's quite interesting. I pulled some numbers. So for 2026,
I just want to give an example though of a brand that doesn't have any like. Subaru has their, what is it called, Solterra?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they don't sell very many of those, and they're never going to hit 20% of their sales. So that means that penalties will have to be imposed on all of the gas cars that they sell. That's why I'm saying this is going to run into the ZEV mandate. What did you have to say?
Okay, so for 2026, 20% of all new vehicles produced have to be electric. We went through that. Then for 2027, it's a little bit higher, but then it increases rapidly. 2028 to 34%, 2029, 43%, 2030, 60%, and 2035, 100%. Now, BC and Quebec have both reached already 20%, so they're doing well, but you have to remember, is that going to change now that the rebates in Quebec are gone?
Andrea is right. As an overall percentage of sales, these two jurisdictions do have 20% sales. But that's the overall picture. When you go into the details, though, like if you're Ram, for example, what are you selling really? If you're Subaru, you've got one car. So yes, 20% overall, but it's going to be dominated by Tesla, and it's going to be dominated by the Hyundai Group. And then Volkswagen comes in probably a distant third. But everybody else isn't going to hit 20%. So it's a global number, they've got it, but it's only a few players that can hit those numbers.
And here's something interesting as well, that plug-in hybrid electric vehicles, we talked about that 50-kilometer range that they have to have so that you can get that full rebate. Well, when we talk about credits for manufacturers, it's changing for them. It's not 50 kilometers anymore. It's going to be 80 kilometers. PHEVs with an all-electric range less than 80 kilometers will receive partial credits for model years 2026 to 2028, but model years 2029 and later will not qualify for credits unless they reach that 80-kilometer range.
Yeah, so that's what I said earlier is, with the money going away for rebates, it's going to run head into these ZEV mandates, and then who's going to squeal the loudest? The manufacturers. They're going to say, come on, we've done our part, we've made electric vehicles available, you've taken away the rebates, and now we're not going to be able to sell a car, because this is what happens, and we've seen it in Germany. It was almost exactly a year ago. Germany's pot of money ran dry, and they didn't put any new money in there. So electric rebates in Germany went away. Sales of EVs went directly down. So we're going to see the same thing. Something's going to have to give. I'm not in favor personally of adding more money into rebates. I think these car companies should compete for your dollars, but I don't think 20, 35, 100% EV is going to be achievable.
No, I agree with that. And I also think that people who have the money to purchase an EV, in our opinion, should never have received any sort of rebate. I think that the rebates should have been targeted at people who are price sensitive and want to get into an EV. People who can spend $70,000 Canadian on an electric vehicle can afford them. And I do believe that those people who already own an EV, whether they leased it or bought it and they want to upgrade to a new one, will probably continue with the EV experience because they love it. They love the quick acceleration. They love that they are not giving off any emissions.
They like saving money on fuel.
They
That's
like
the real
saving
one.
money on fuel. There's a lot of plus. There's a plus side to driving an electric vehicle as well.
All right. So my idea, Andrea, was the reverse rebate.
Great idea.
The biggest rebate on the cheapest car. So that's really benefiting people who truly can barely make it into a rebate, into an electric vehicle, I should say. So maybe they get the biggest amount of money. Say at $40,000, they get $5,000. Every $5,000 it goes up, you lose $1,000. And then when you get up into that $60,000 range, you're on your own, which I think is the way it should be.
President and CEO of the Canadian Automobile Dealers Association sent out a press release after the association heard about this. And I wanted to relay a quote. This decision is particularly frustrating for dealers who have done their part in building the infrastructure and resources required to support the EV transition. The president and CEO goes on to say the federal government has created uncertainty for both consumers and the automotive industry. Cutting short such a critical initiative while maintaining aggressive 2025 and 2030 ZEV targets sends a contradictory and destabilizing message.
Well, that's basically what we said. So I
Yeah.
agree with who wrote that. So there you go. ZEV rebate is running out of cash. So
Yeah.
you might, if you're on the fence, you might want to call the dealer you may be interested in buying from and see what they can do for you. Quebec is running out of money as well, and it's going to be interesting times in the auto industry. That's what we look forward to seeing what all happens.
So tell us what you think. Will you continue to purchase an EV if there is no federal or provincial rebate attached to that? Let us know what you think.
See you next time.
See you next time.